If you're an RN 20 plus pounds up who knows what to do but can't stick to it, I'm going to share our 3-step system that our RNs use to lose weight and keep it off without relying on willpower. Let's jump right in. This is the same system that we've used to help over 1,100 RNs break through to sustainable weight loss. Let's do it! So the first thing we need to know, what is the number one thing that will guarantee you never lose the weight and keep it off? It's quitting. Quitting happens when the pain of the plan plus life becomes too high. And that's when our brain protects us by escaping, right? Usually by coping, oftentimes with food for many of the RNs here. Over 62% of the RNs that we work with self-describe as being emotional eaters. So these 3 steps not only help you drive results, but help you to not quit. I said that kind of funny. So step 1 is we want to align with human nature. Human nature is to move away from pain and go towards pleasure. The majority of plans out there, they don't even account for this. They just focus on the mechanics of weight loss, eat less, move more. And the problem with that is they don't account for the nurse lifestyle. They don't account for low sleep, high stress, rotating schedules. So the first thing that we need to do if we want to make this stick is we have to make it low pain and as high pleasure as possible. Because when we do that, it creates a positive feedback loop. You've probably heard me or somebody else say in the past that we want you to get pulled towards the actions that give you the body and the health and everything that's going to get you the result that you want. But that might sound crazy, but the way that you do it is by creating low pain, high pleasure actions. I promise you it's possible because we do it all the time. And then the next piece to that is test and iterate. Because there's no plan that you can create on day 1 that's going to work forever. You need to start with what seems to be the lowest pain, highest pleasure, results-based actions. Put them into place, see how they work with your life, and then depending on what happens, you test and adapt. You test and iterate. There's no perfect plan. You're going to need to, almost like putting clay onto a sculpture. After you put the clay on, you sculpt it to create something beautiful. And that's the same thing with your plan. It's a living, breathing thing. And then once you do this long enough, it creates enough evidence that you are this person. The strongest force in the human personality is staying consistent with the way we see ourselves. If you want to permanently change your actions, we have to permanently change your identity, and that only happens with enough evidence. So, where do you start? So, we have to identify your number one objective and actions. So, once we know your number one objective, it's easy to get the actions behind it. So the actions will achieve the objective. And we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. One objective, 1 or 2 actions to achieve it. There's always a number one constraint making weight loss mechanically or psychologically harder that once solved, allow progress to accelerate the most, right? So we want to start by looking at sleep, stress, protein, and hydration. Ideal targets, sleep, 50 hours of sleep per week. Again, if you're out there right now and you're getting 5 hours a night and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to add 15 hours to my week? You don't start there. But if you know that you're at 35, well, that's the thing you need to improve. That's your objective. But don't start by shooting for 50 hours a week. Start by saying, hey, I'm going to increase it by 30 minutes a day, right? Because again, low pain, high pleasure. We need to make this game feel like you're winning. If you feel like you're losing, like these other plans where you're going all in and then the results slow down and all you're left with is pain, you're going to quit. We can't quit. Right? That's what we have to protect ourselves from. So sleep, we want 50 hours a week. If you're not there yet, focus on that and ignore everything else. Stress, we want below a 6. Now, here's the thing. When you improve sleep, stress generally comes down. It increases your emotional resilience. You feel better. Hydration. We want about 100 ounces a day. Now, finer numbers, 0.75 times your goal weight in ounces, but just think 100. Easy numbers, 100. We want to make this as simple and non-complicated as possible, right? Protein, 100. Same thing, 100 ounces. And there's a bunch of ways that you can get there. That's like 3 fist sizes of meat a day. It's 1 protein shake and 2 fist sizes of meat. There's a lot of ways to do this. I don't want to get too much into the weeds. I want to stay big picture in this so that we can keep moving quickly. If you have any questions, comment below. I'm going to be answering them when I see them. So by fixing these 4 foundations, you will get your metabolism back to a healthy place to make weight loss easier, but it will also make it easier to stick to a calorie deficit and exercise later. Because a lot of people, when they start to lose weight, they just say, okay, let me start eating less and moving more. The problem is they're not accounting for, is it sustainable? And a lot of times, if sleep, stress, hydration, protein are not at these standards, it's not sustainable. So after that, we want to make sure that you're in a calorie deficit while making it feel sustainable. Again, there's some key words that you're going to keep hearing from me, right? And one of them is sustainable, sustainable, sustainable. This has to be carefully iterated upon over weeks and months so it feels sustainable. You already heard me say before, there isn't a perfect plan you're going to do on day one that's going to last forever. That's just, if somebody says they can give you a perfect plan, that's just based on the mechanics of weight loss, right? That drive results. But if you really want to keep the results for life, it has to be sustainable. And what's sustainable to me, based on my values and my likes and dislikes, are going to be different than Sharon or Judy or you. So we have to make sure that we don't look at a plan and say, oh my gosh, I tried to follow it, but then I quit and therefore I am bad. Look, you didn't fail the plan. The plan failed you. You need a plan that lives and breathes, that can change. And then eventually you get to a point that, okay, with enough flexibility, this can last the rest of my life. So if actions ever feel like you're relying on willpower, something needs to change to avoid quitting down the road. Over time, you create a winning system that really can last through any season of life. So step 3 is you want to install new beliefs. Beliefs? I thought I'm trying to lose weight. Who cares about beliefs? Well, you should, and here's why. Beliefs matter because everyone wants to change your results, but what changes your results? Your actions. Well, what changes your actions? Your beliefs. Here's an example. Most fundamentally, if you believe that, oh my gosh, I've done so many things in the past and I quit every time, like I'm not disciplined, or my body is different, therefore I can't lose weight. How much action are you going to take? You already know, 0, right? That may be where you are now, I'm not sure. And then what results are you going to get with no action? Of course, no results. But what if you had a belief that was different this time? What if you had the belief that, look, they did it, so can I. I saw these other nurses, like I heard their stories, they struggled, they did 20 years in this spot, thought they couldn't change, and then boom, they're 50 pounds down and sustained it for 3 years. We have to start with our beliefs that then lead to actions and results. And I'm skipping ahead, but stay with me. There's 2 beliefs that will protect you from negative emotions that lead to quitting, and there's 1 belief that will empower you to start. Obviously, there's tons of beliefs. I'm just giving you 3 so that, we're not overwhelmed. So the first is moving from an old disempowering belief of, I did everything right this week and I didn't lose any weight, to, hey, this is about the next 12 weeks. Or I'm sorry, this isn't about the next 12 weeks. It's about the next 12 years. It's about zooming out. Once I lose the weight, I'm going to want to sustain it anyway, 20 years from now. I'm not going to remember if it took me 6 months or 9 months to lose all the weight I wanted. I'll just be happy that I solved this back then and aren't still trying to figure it out now. This is a reframe with time, moving from the present of being so zoomed in to the day and the week and everything feels really heavy, to zooming out and realizing the big picture that, like, who cares if you lost weight this week or not? Zoom out and let's look at the month. Let's look at the quarter. And again, I know that doesn't come natural, but this is why a lot of people don't break through. We want to try to start shifting these beliefs, right? Number 2, old disempowering belief is I keep falling short of my targets. I can never stick to it, which then leads to feeling bad, guilty, I'm bad. And then, of course, what's the brain want to do? It wants to run from these negative emotions because no one wants to feel bad, especially if we're making ourselves feel bad. And our brain doesn't realize that it's us doing that. It's just, oh my gosh, it associates the journey, weight loss journey, to pain, and then we quit, right? And then we associate it to weight loss. So the new empowering belief is perfection is not my goal. I adapt based on what happens in my life and realign. I've come a long way in the last, 6 weeks or however long you've been doing it. I wasn't doing, I just put A, B, and C before this I can be proud of, but like, hey, I wasn't I wasn't even thinking about what time I was going to bed. I was just falling asleep from exhaustion. Now I'm really cognitive. I bring my water bottle with me everywhere. I went from drinking 30 ounces a day to 60. I doubled it. That's 100% difference. That's amazing. I went from not even thinking about how much protein I'm having to like having 2 meat sources a day, and I feel so much better and I can feel more, I'm mentally clear. My energy went from a 4 to a 7. Yeah, I'm not where I want to be with my body yet, but guess what? I'm making progress and I'm proud of that, right? Disempowering to empowering. The same thing happens, but yet one reaction is positive, one's negative. If we stack too many negative emotions, we quit. We have to be able to get good at stacking positive emotions. And then number 3, of course, those 2 beliefs only help if you have already started your journey. If you've yet to start again, because you've gotten pain every time in the past you try to lose weight, then you need to start, we need to have the belief that transforming your body is actually possible and sustaining it without pain. Because again, if all the evidence you have up to this point for the last 8 years or 10 years or 20 years or however long it's been, and the last dozen attempts is every time I try I fail, why would you want to try again? You truly have to believe that there's something different. But I'm not saying to just like pump yourself up and believe something's different with nothing new. Do something new. Do this, follow a different approach, and I guarantee that you can break through. So the old disempowering belief is I've tried so many things, nothing's worked, it's not possible for me. The new empowering belief, the evidence to find is they did it, so can I. And you change beliefs by collecting new evidence. And this is why I post all the stories and do interviews with a lot of the RNs we've worked with, because what this does is start to empower you to believe that something can be different. Someone just like you, right? We only work with RNs, like Kira. Lost 50 pounds in 52 weeks, shares her story. Like Haley, lost 25 pounds in 16 weeks, believing that, oh my gosh, like I never thought weight loss could be this easy. And, the list goes on. Carla, Charlotte, Rachel, Bridget, Rachel, right? I'm not going to go through these, all of them, but you can watch the videos. You can you scroll through this page, you'll see them. I'll try to put a link somewhere too, but it's not about this program. I just want to be clear. I'm not sharing this for this program. I'm sharing this so that whether we work together or not, you can believe something is different. Because look, whether you work with a coach or not isn't the point. The point is, if you see somebody did it, whether they worked with a coach or not, who's just like you, with the same number of starts and fails, then what you will start to believe is something can be different. And that's all you need, whether you work with a coach or not. This is about breakthrough. If a coach helps you break through, great. Compress decades into days, awesome. But you don't need one in a lot of cases, at least to get started, right? And a lot of people like in this group have broken through without a coach. So this whole thing is not just about like, hey, yeah, okay, do coaching. Look, coaching is not for everyone. Straight up. If it is for you, awesome. We'd love to help you. But that's not the point. The point is you have to be able to see that something can be different. Okay? So look at those. Get inspired, right? Just Google like RN body transformations and you will see like transformations. I'll just show you like super fast, right? And just like read these reviews and scroll down and just like hear people that are nurses. And you can go, oh my gosh, like they can do it. They're talking about their journey. I can do it too. And the only reason I point that out is because sometimes in this group, there's just like years and years of posts in this group. So like, they're very spread out. Okay. So how do you change your beliefs? You gather new evidence. The first way is around people, right? You become what you're around. So you want to get around people who have the beliefs that you want. In person, that means friends that empower you and inspire you. Events that do the same, think like Tony Robbins events or Unleash the Power Within events, things like that, anything in person. And then virtual, this group, it's all RNs. It's women that are looking to lose RNs that are looking to lose 20 pounds or more, right? All women, 90% of women are moms, right? So it's like, these are your people. And if they can do it, again, you can do it. So the other thing, again, I already talked about this, is stories from other RNs in this group, and I'll be sharing more. I'm going to get better at that. And then just podcasts, YouTube videos, really any content that speaks to what you want and the beliefs that you want to instill in yourself, or as I say, install, right? Because everyone wants to change their results. I gave you one cycle before, but another cycle to think about is input leads to thinking, leads to actions, leads to results. If you want to change your results, not short term, but permanently, you have to change your actions permanently. Duh, we all know this. But if you want to change your actions, a lot of people just say, I need willpower to do the actions. That's why I'm failing. No, willpower isn't the answer. Willpower eventually runs out. Push doesn't survive. Pull survives. And again, how do you lead with pull? You got to change the thinking. How do you change the thinking long term? You change your input. Cool. Low pain, high pleasure actions as well. The other way is to do self, right? For you to gather new evidence based on the actions you do. The key here is low pain, high pleasure, so you can build your self-esteem back around your body and what's possible. Because I've already said it before, but if you've done this game, you've tried to lose weight, you go strong for 6 weeks or even 6 months, but eventually you quit because of the heaviness of life and you gain the weight back, then the odds of you wanting to try again are probably low. And that's okay. That's normal. My suggestion is start simple. Start with easy wins that make you build back up your self-esteem around this area of life. It is so common for me to see our RNs just obsess about work, meaning they shove themselves into work because that's where they get the majority of their self-esteem, right? You know, if I work really hard and I grind myself to the bone, essentially, I have many of our nurses that come to mind, but outside, we have no quality of life at all, right? We spend all our time outside of work just recovering enough to be able to go back to work and do a good job. That's not the life we signed up for when we became nurses. We can have more. I can promise you can have it all. You can be awesome at your job, and you can also have a life outside where you're sleeping enough, where you have energy, where you don't need to spend a whole day on your rest day just recouping to be able to go back. And you can actually live and want to go out and do things again and want to just live your life. I promise you it's possible because I see it every single day. So you can do it. If you've been hit, if you've been whipped, like the lion that tries to leave the cage, but every time they do, they get whipped and then they eventually learn, don't leave the cage. You just need to take smaller steps. Steps that are impossible for you to lose. Because if we want to get the confidence that this is possible, we start small and build up, gain confidence, do more, and then, of course, positive feedback loop, right? All the stuff I've been talking about. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you're an RN who wants to lose 20 plus pounds and you want help building a 12-week plan to lose your first 15 to 20 pounds and set you up to keep it off and lose, as much as you want, really, another 30 pounds, 50 pounds, even 100 pounds in some cases, just comment plan below. I'll DM you the details, or you can just click the link below this post and you can book a free RN game plan call with me or one of my coaches to be able to help you further. And if it makes sense, we'll help you implement it with coaching. Essentially, we're going to look at your starting point, what you've done in the past, so that we can start to create that 12-week plan. If it makes sense for us to help you do it, we'll do it. We'll get you started on the call. Otherwise, you still leave with your plan. You're rocking and rolling. One quick thing, if you do go to the link and there's no open spots, it just means we filled for this week. We only do about 10 a week. That way we can keep balance in our life too, right? It's all the same. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. I will see you in the next one. Drop any comments, any questions, and I will answer them. Bye!